Welcome everyone tonight. This is Peggy Albers and I'm going to be your moderator for the evening. I want to thank Tuba Angay-Crowder for volunteering to present one of our doctoral web seminars. Tonight, Tuba is going to talk about navigating between the United States and Turkish culture, and she's going to talk about crafting an academic identity. And we're very excited to have Tuba present tonight. So if you could just give her a little round of applause or a little smiley face, she would certainly appreciate that. And we're really happy that all of you would join us tonight. I'm your moderator, and as many of you know, some of you know me a little bit better than others. I am the moderator and the designer of the doctoral web seminars for the Language and Literacy Unit. I'm Peggy Albers, and I'm a professor of language and literacy. My research interests really are in arts-based literacy and visual discourse analysis, along with international literacy instruction and work, as well as English education. And I am so happy to see all of you, and I'm very, as you know, I just really like all of our doctoral students. I think they're just amazing. So it's really good to have you here tonight. These doctoral web seminars are designed as interactive and online participatory web seminars that offer doctoral students opportunities to ask questions about their program, for doctoral students to present their experiences in the doctoral program, various aspects of the doctoral program. And so it's with delight that I have so many of you here tonight. If you, for some of you, I think Megan, you might be, this might be the first time for you, and so for you, we just want to let you know about the Illuminate tools. Please feel free to write in the chat area anytime that you want, anytime that you have a question, and I'm going to go ahead and organize those questions, and at the end of the presentation, I will ask Tuba to respond to any of your questions, and if you have any questions that are pressing, just please raise your hand and we will invite Tuba to stop the presentation and respond to that question. But I hope that you will certainly engage in conversation amongst yourselves as well as with Tuba as she presents. It's with great pleasure that I introduce Tuba Angay-Crowder. I have gotten to know Tuba over the last year quite closely, and I am just so impressed with her knowledge of not only social media, but she's just an academic through and through. She's one of our doctoral students. You're welcome, Tuba. Tuba's been working with me in global conversations in literacy research now for the last year and has been highly instrumental in helping us navigate the social media terrain. And she's a hard worker and very smart and really has a lot to offer in terms of not only just her own experiences as a Turkish student in Georgia, but as an academic who has a lot to share about crafting an academic identity. Her research interests are L2 writing, multiliteracies, and academic literacies, and I'm pretty sure that your doctoral advisor is Dr. Gertrude Tinker-Sachs. I'm pretty sure of it. If not, it's Young-Ju Yi, but I'm pretty sure it's Gertrude. Anyway, it is with absolute pleasure and delight that I introduce you to Tuba Angay-Crowder, and we're very excited to hear her talk about crafting an academic life. So, Tuba, you are on.
Thank you, Dr. Albers. Thank you, everyone. It's a great pleasure to see you here, and I'm very happy that I am having this opportunity to present today. So today I will talk about how I am navigating between the US and the Turkish culture and crafting an academic identity. So developing a positive identity as a professional scholar is an essential task for a doctoral student. We are experiencing two different cultures, especially as a minority status, and we may feel caught between these two cultures and have a conflict in self-identity, values, attitudes, beliefs. And this may be problematic. And so today I will present how I am living in this overlapping border spaces and the cultural representations. And at the same time, I am developing a constructive professional identity. This is not just a matter of accepting my differences and learning to live with them, but rather it's a moment when I attain self-awareness between two cultures. This development of expertise in navigating across cultures is a critical component of the development of identity, especially for people who are experiencing life as minorities on the basis of racial, ethnic, religious, or other social categories. So as an overview, first I will start with my changing perceptions about literacy and myself as a literate person, and I will provide a little background about my country so that you can have a better idea about myself, and I will explain why I am taking on a biliterate perspective in my studies in the US, and how I have redefined literacy for myself, which was the fundamental change in regard to my academic life. And accordingly, I will explain how I selected my research interests. And finally, I will talk about how I am crafting my academic identity through conferences, work, and collaboration for publications, and other academic and personal connections. And I am hoping that my presentation will help build international students' bicultural self-efficacy, and also we as international students will attain the ability to act with confidence and acceptance of our own cultural background. At the same time, we need to hold some level of appreciation of the dominant cultural group within the major life domains. And I hope my presentation will be helpful for advisors and educators who are trying to ease this process for their students. How am I changing the first sections about literacy? In my experience in foreign language teaching profession in Turkey, the term literacy is not used very often. The way it's used, especially in Turkey, in its English as a foreign language context, is the technical term reading and writing. So these are the skills performed in a different linguistic code. As a part of this environment, my definition of second language literacy was not any different. And I started my doctoral program in the US, and this made me question all my previous notions and definitions about literacy and biliteracy and process of reading and writing and identity of readers and writers, both in my native and second language. So I had to function as a biliterate person in an academic environment, and I became aware of new and different ideas about language, literacy, and biliteracy. So I realized that communicating in another language was more than functioning in a different linguistic code. It involved learning about a new culture which shaped my expression differently, thinking differently, and sometimes seeing the world differently. In my understanding and definition of literacy changed. It just didn't mean the mechanical act of reading and writing anymore. I learned that reading and writing, or literacy, and what we do with them are closely related with how we socialize and how we use literacy in situations. So the purpose for reading and writing came from particular social and cultural needs and expectations. I was exposed to the rhetoric and culture of a second language, and I reflected on how I function and perform in specific situations. These are as opposed to the context in which I use my native language. And I constantly compared my two literacy practices, the values people attach to these practices, and the ideologies that surrounded them. So my experiences and reflections with regard to these issues initiated the idea of this presentation. And knowing that different cultures value different literacy skills, and that literacy cannot be divorced from its social context. So that's why I would like to present how culture and values in my country, Turkey, affected the way I am crafting my academic identities in the USA. So first I will start with the brief history about the literacy in Turkey. Turkey is a young republic established in 1923 with an extraordinary story of literacy. Turkey went through major political, social, cultural transformations since its establishment. It is situated between Europe and the Middle East, and it has always been influenced by both the Eastern and the Western worlds. Among the many Islamic countries in the region, for example, Iran, Iraq, Syria, Turkey was the first country to leave Sharia, which means the religious law of Islam, and adopted European practices over a wide range of public and social life. And then there were successive cultural revolutions. And Kemal Atatürk, who is the father of all Turks, started these revolutions. Especially the revolution of language and literacy and learning was important in two respects. First, it created an awareness of the national language, and second, it helped increase the number of literate people. During the period of Ottoman Empire, one of the goals of education was to teach Arabic. Learning Arabic and Persian were necessary in order to be able to read and interpret Quran. Quran is our holy book, and higher education was based on books written in Arabic and Persian. So the number of literate people was few, especially because of the following reasons. First, the language people spoke was not the written official language, and second, Arabic script was difficult to learn and use, and third, after finishing the local schools in which only religion and Arabic were taught, further education required knowing Arabic, Persian, and Ottoman Turkish. So that's why education was not widespread in society. But later in 1933, Atatürk established Turkish Language Institute, which banished thousands of Arabic and Persian words from spoken and written Turkish, and then fabricated a new authentically Turkish words to replace them. So there has been a considerable increase in the number of literate people in Turkey. So why I am taking a biliterate perspective in my studies. So today in Turkey there are almost 181 universities and state universities education in Turkish. In private universities, education mostly in English. And I am coming from an English medium university, and then I continue this biliterate profile in the United States as well. My university was a biliterate university, and here I am a biliterate person. So biliteracy is a theoretical framework I am employing for my studies here. Particularly, I am adopting Nancy I'm not sure how to pronounce, Hornberger theoretical framework. The continuum of biliteracy, she views biliteracy as a result of the overlapping interactions between its context, for example, micro and micro, or oral literate. So these dimensions of bilingualism and literacy are expressed in a polar opposites, such as L1 versus L2, oral versus literate. But when we consider biliteracy, these continue are interrelated dimensions of a highly complex whole. So it was important for me to understand her framework of biliteracy, because my aim is to construct positive identities in the US. So how I am redefining literacy. So I was asked to define literacy in a doctoral course I was taking, and at first I couldn't understand why the term needed to be redefined, and it didn't take me long to understand why after reading about the Great Divide theory, which claims literacy brings about a great leap in the minds of a human beings. So this approach to literacy claims that literacy can be defined separately from the social context. Bryce-Reed called this view as an autonomous model of literacy, and in which this kind of views saying that literacy brings about fundamental changes in human cognition. These cognitive changes then cause alterations not only in the consciousness of the individuals but also cultures. And it causes literacy shifts in the cultural perception of the world. For example, a number of literacy scholars such as Goody make a strong claim about the cognitive restructuring achieved through writing. The whole type of reasoning and logic becomes possible just with the introduction of writing. So it is this kind of restructuring is not available in an oral mode. So I was coming from Turkey, and it's a developing nation, and this culture and education are not printed oriented as in the US. So this line of thinking was problematic for me. Such a theory was suggesting superiority of the nations and rank of peoples. And so I read other research, for example, Scribb and Cole, conducted among the Wai people in Liberia, and this gave me an opposing perspective. Their research indicated that literacy alone could not explain any generalized cognitive differences among Wai people. According to their findings, specific skill differences were not as a result of specific skills and tasks emphasized by each of literacy, which means Wai, Arabic, and English, but the interaction of reading and writing with other variables, such as influence of schooling as an institution or effect of moving from rural to a city environment. So I realized from our class discussions with multicultural participants and from different readings that different cultures value different literacy skills. And then literacy cannot be divorced from the culture in which it's embedded. And James G. Said that people do not read and write to engage in abstract processes. Rather, they read and write particular texts of particular types in particular ways because they hold particular values. So literacy is therefore not monolithic but multiple in nature. And it's not about language or reading and writing per se, but about social practices. The way certain societies use text can differ across cultures and their related context. So the Great Leap theory then focuses only the cognitive instead of the social and political aspect of literacy. And this Great Leap theory fails to explain language uses by oral cultures. So instead of dividing two extreme modes, we need to see oral and written modes of language overlap. So that's why I would prefer the Bryant Street ideological model, and that was important for me. That shaped my conception of literacy and the way how I'm forming my identity in the US. And so accordingly, I chose my research interest. Bryant Street argues that literacy practices depend on the context and they are already embedded in an ideology and cannot be isolated or treated neutral. So that's why it made sense to me to embrace multiple literacies. New London Group defines it as multiliteracies, but when we say multiple literacies, it means many and varied ways that people read and write in their lives. And also the theory of multiliteracies consider agendas that advocate social change, which was important to me. My aim is to provide equal education with each individual. So that's why multiliteracy perspective is fitting for me. And so I'm going to talk about how I am crafting my identity through conferences. The concept of multiliteracy is not only about multiple text or various text forms. It begins with the multiplicity of cultural identities that are expressed through literacies. Social linguistics suggests that literacies are more than a means for sharing information. They are intimately connected with identity. And James G. is called this discourses. Discourses are identity kits, and that include not only spoken and written language and other means of symbolic expression, but also aspects of identity like dress, body language, and action that signal underlying beliefs and values of a community. So I am crafting my academic identity through joining local and national discourses in different conferences. In these conferences, I convey the message, the topic, and the content of my presentation, but I am also learning from the interactions at the conferences. I observe how people react to different speakers at the sessions and how they present themselves, not only through words, but also signals of other communications such as dressing, gestures, manners. And also I am participating in national and international conferences as well. So how am I shaping my academic writerly identity for publications? I am a member of Alpha Epsilon Alpha, a leadership organization, and this helped me shape an academic writerly identity. Scholarship is fundamentally social, and developing a community of learners with interpersonal relationships. This organization provides me the social support system that sustains a truly socialized environment for my scholarship. And we are, the members of the AEA, we are hosting an annual writing retreat to foster the development of scholarly writers, and we work on the manuscripts. And for example, we are writing about how AEA is cohesively aligned to doctoral requirements and serves as a vital support to students in the areas of scholarship and leadership and service. And also, I've been working with my advisor and other professors on different manuscripts. So one of our manuscripts is going to be published next month. Our title is Transformative Practices of Adolescent Students Through Digital Storytelling. Actually, the article is about that. It's not the exact title. So I'm going to talk about my integrated, being an integrated scholar through academic and personal connections. I have begun to see myself as an integrated scholar, and to strengthen my academic connections, I am becoming a member of several professional and academic organizations. AEA is one of them, International Reading Association, AERA, so Turkish American Association, or Middle East Institute. This is in Georgia State. These are some of the examples. And also, my relationship with my academic advisor and faculty and friends, family, and also academic networking sites online. They provide me support for navigating through different cultures and forming a scholarly identity. For example, I am a member of several ESL committees online, and I am sharing information and communicating with them with different topics, and they provide me an international perspective on the topics. And I am a member of Global Conversation and Literacy Research. So with my role is the media facilitator, and this adds another layer to my professional identity. It's definitely a positive and very exciting part of my professional identity. And also, I have my own blog where I share my knowledge with other professionals. One of the scholars said that blogging could play a useful role in professional development, and I agree with that because I share my writings and receive feedback. This is encouraging. So in this way, I reach an immediate audience from all around the world. And so I relied on multiple individuals for support beyond my academic advisors and peers. And these interactions are offering opportunities to enrich my life, knowledge, and personal capacity of those involved in the exchanges as well, not only myself. As a conclusion, I would say my interactions with faculty and my advisor in the process of discussing my role and identity integration with friends and family are leading me to realize how doing so has enhanced my work and success in the program. I am observing the behaviors and attitudes and norms for social interaction that are prevailing among the faculty members and other doctoral students of my profession. And I am interpreting my observations in the light of my own prior experiences, my goals for the future, and my current sense of who I am. And I will continue trying on the multiple professional styles to see how well they fit me. And I am acknowledging that becoming an educator and role model for future scholars in my field is an evolving process. And identity formation is an evolving process as well. It's fluid. And my aim is to be responsible, imaginative, insightful, rigorous, and committed in my social and academic roles. And universities are defining the professions, but I am contributing to this act of shaping the nature of professionalism in my profession as well. Thank you. So that's all I would like to say, and I will be pleased to have your questions if you have any.
Thank you so much, Tuba. That was so delightful, amazingly rigorous, insightful, and such a strong presentation. I really enjoyed that. I'd love to invite the audience to ask Tuba a question. Is there anybody who would like to ask Tuba a question? If so, I'm going to just go ahead and let you ask one. Okay, let's see. I have a hand up. Kathleen,